This is Twit.
Okay, Leo, this is where you get your wish.
Oh, yes?
Revil was recently retaken down by law enforcement.
Hacked by law enforcement.
Yep. Last Thursday, Reuters news service was the exclusive reporter that, according to 3 private sector cyber experts working with the United States and one former official, the ransomware group Revil was itself hacked and reforced offline in a multi-country operation. Tom Kellerman, who's VMware's head of cybersecurity strategy and an advisor to the U.S. Secret Service on cybercrime investigations, he said that law enforcement and intelligence personnel stopped the group from victimizing additional companies. He said, quote, "The FBI, in conjunction with Cyber Command, the Secret Service, and like-minded countries have truly engaged in significant disruptive actions against these group." And Revil was the top of the list. As we detailed last week, that new apparent leader of Revil, who is calling himself One Day, numeric 0_NEDAY, who had helped restart the group's operations after its first shutdown, which took everyone by surprise, well, maybe not everyone, said that Revil's servers had been hacked by an unnamed party. Recorded Future reported that a Russian posting, which they had translated into English, One Day wrote, quote, "The server was compromised and they were looking for me. Good luck, everyone. I'm off," unquote. So we now also learn a bit more about what was behind the FBI's deliberate and questionable at the time withholding of that universal decryption key, which would have helped victims of the Kaseya attacks. Remember that we found out that they had it for a while. It was like, hey, why didn't they let it go? Well, they needed to keep their cards close. That accounts for the delay. Following the attack on Kaseya, it turns out that, as we learned, the FBI did obtain a universal decryption key that allowed those infected through the Kaseya vulnerability to recover their files without paying a ransom. They got it by hacking. The FBI later acknowledged that law enforcement officials had initially withheld the key as they quietly pursued Revil's staff. According to 3 people familiar with the matter, law enforcement and intelligence cyber specialists were able to hack Revil's computer network infrastructure, obtaining control of at least some of their servers. Then Unknown, remember that guy, UNKN, Unknown disappeared, and later this One Day guy and a few remaining team members returned and restored those websites from a backup last month. But in doing so, they unwittingly restored and restarted some internal systems that were already under the control of law enforcement.
Funny. Oh, whoopsies.
Yep. They restored from an infected backup.
Oh, my God. How's it feel? How's it feel? Good?
Yeah, how do you like them apples?
Feel?
Yes. Oleg Skulkin, who's the deputy head of the forensics lab at the Russian-led security company Group IB, he said, quote, "The Revil ransomware gang restored the infrastructure from backups, assuming that they had not been compromised."
It's going to be good. Don't worry. We got everything. We saved it all.
That's right. Ironically, the gang's own favorite tactic of compromising backups was turned against them. Officials have repeatedly declined to comment on the record. A spokesperson for the White House National Security Council declined to comment on the operation specifically. The FBI also declined to comment. But one person familiar with the event said that an unnamed foreign partner of the U.S. government carried out the hacking operation that penetrated Revil's computer infrastructure. And a former U.S. official who spoke on condition of anonymity said the operation was still active. VMware's Tom Kellerman said, quote, "The success stems from a determination by U.S. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco that ransomware attacks on critical infrastructure should be treated as a national security issue akin to terrorism," unquote. And in June, Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General John Carlin told Reuters the Justice Department was elevating investigations of ransomware attacks to a similar priority. Tom Kellerman explained that, quote, "These actions, those I just named, gave the Justice Department and other agencies a legal basis to get help from U.S. intelligence agencies and the Department of Defense. Before this," Tom explained, "you couldn't hack into these forums, and the military didn't want to have anything to do with it. Since then, the gloves have come off." So, in other words, the U.S. military was finally engaged, and apparently getting into the hacker's inner sanctum, it wasn't so difficult.
That's
So,
awesome.
score one for the big lumbering U.S. bureaucracy. As we have observed before, these crypto cretins need to keep their heads down and under the radar. They made a big mistake
Yes.
when they poked the bear with a
Yes.
sharp stick.
Yes.
And, you know, it is this oft quoted, you know, slogan that you know, we are a country ruled by laws. Well, we could not legally do this until the nature of what, you know, was needed was that is that we were combating was officially assigned as a matter of national security at the level of terrorism, and that then created the legal basis by which the other departments that had to have their hands off officially, they could roll up their sleeves and say, thank you very much. That's what we wanted to hear.
Got
and
it. Got it.
Yep.
Love it.
Done.
Love it.
So let's hope the all of that underworld is listening, because, you know, the sleeping giant can awaken. And when it does, whoops, there's one fewer top-tier cyber terrorism gang loose.